Hi everyone, and welcome to a special edition of a Hero Arts video. It's me, Sherry Carroll, to bring you a sneak peek of our Kling's newspaper print Eiffel Tower. This is a beautiful full card-sized stamp that features the Eiffel Tower, lots of postage, and great newspaper print. So here's how the stamp looks up close. As you can see, there's just tons of detail in here, and this is great for this finger painting technique that I'm going to show you. So I have my stamp mounted onto my stamp press, and I'll be using Versamark and white embossing powder. So first I'll go ahead and get my Versamark all over here really well. I'm just going to go ahead and just press several times, going around, making sure I have all areas of the stamp covered. If you know me, I always go over my stamps a couple times with my ink just to make sure. There's nothing worse than to go and stamp and you don't have the entire thing covered. So I always go back over a couple times. Okay, so once you have your stamp covered, we can go ahead and stamp onto my paper. I have some great watercolor paper here, and I have my anti-static bag. I always use this when I do embossing. It helps keep the staticky cling of the embossing powder away. So I just kind of swipe this over my paper. And now I can get ready to emboss. I have my powder and my catch paper. So I'll go ahead and stamp onto my watercolor paper. And by using the stamp press, I can just press straight down. And then I like to walk my fingers around the back side of it. The stamp press is a little more flexible than a block, so I can make sure that I get really good in the center just by giving it a good press. So once that's done, I can let it release. And now I have my stamped image. So I'm just going to grab this by the corners because I have stamped the entire piece of paper. So I'll just grab the sides and pour my embossing powder onto my paper. Once I have that done, I'll go ahead and just kind of give it a tap down around the other sides, and it pretty much covers the entire thing once I let it slide down the side. Then I'll tap the back, kind of give it a quick inspection and make sure you have it in all the areas. And I missed a little bit here at the top, so I'll just add some more and tap it off. So I'll set this aside and I'll go ahead and fold my paper up, and I can just pour my embossing powder back into my jar. And now I can give my paper a quick zap with the heat gun and go ahead and heat set all my embossing powder. So here's another look at the finger painting technique that I'm going to do. As you can see, I have color in all different areas of the image, and it's a really fun, quick technique, and you just really basically use your fingers. So let's get started and I'll show you how I did it. So here's my watercolor panel. My embossing powder is already heat set. You can kind of see the little shine going on. And so I'm going to choose 3 of my distress inks, and I'm having first is Vintage Photo, Faded Jeans, and Broken China. And these 3 colors mixed together is one of my newest favorite combinations. So what I will do is I'll just press these into my craft sheet, and they don't need to be in any particular order. I'll just do these across. And so I have my 2 blues and my 1 brown. And next I'll be giving these a spray with some pearl water, and this is just perfect pearls mixed with water, and I'll just kind of give a squirt onto each color. This helps make the paint or the distress ink move around a little bit. So what I'll do is I'll just start by 1 finger, and I'm going to choose a finger for each color, and I'll just kind of start moving it around in the pattern. And you can see this start to resist. So I have 1 finger for my brown, 1 for my faded jeans, and here up close you can see the resist. And so you just keep going back and adding more color. I'm kind of going in a horizontal motion right now, but as I keep adding color, I'll start going more vertical. So as you can see, it's resisting, and I'm getting some great dark color, light color, and a nice mix. So I kind of have to keep looking at my fingers to see what color I have on there, but the more you add, the darker it gets. So you just keep working around the paper. If you need to add more inks to your craft sheet, once you're done, just kind of wipe it down and you can go ahead and press more ink and add more water. But now I'm starting to get in between colors, which is really fun by blending. And here's how this is looking. So now I have my panel completely colored in and my fingers are really stained, but it's okay. As you can see, the watercolor paper is really nice and sturdy, and especially once it dries really nice and stiff. So I'll just be using some adhesive and I'm going to go around the edges. And I always like to put just a little bit in the center. And I'm mounting this onto a latte card because I want more of a neutral card so it doesn't take away from the image. I've pre-embossed a message onto this white strip of paper and I'm using antique linen stain, and I'll just be wiping this across and I'll get my resist. And I like using the stain because you get an imperfect look. So here's how that looks, and once that dries it'll be nice and smooth looking. So now I'll just clean up my work surface and put my stain away. And when I go to mount my message, it'll sit across the Eiffel Tower like this. But first I want to trim my ends, and if I had the time I would like to let this dry, but I'll just go ahead and work with it. So I'm just going to snip the end, and I'll be doing a V cut on this, so I want to cut up the center. Oh, I think I want to trim it just a little bit more. So for the V cut, just trim in the center. And since the paper's wet, I have to go really carefully. Then you cut from the corner up to the center, and I like to flip it over and cut from the next corner up to the center. Then you get a perfect V cut every time. So this will sit on the card like this. So now I want to start adding some embellishments, and I have one of my art flowers here, and I'll just go ahead and add a couple glue dots to this. I have already put my message down with some adhesive, so now I just put the flower down on top, and I kind of want to put the petals so that you can see the word kind of peeking out where it says thinking of you. I want to see the U part sticking out. So I have threaded my button with some twine, and I'll be adding a couple glue dots to the back of this, and I'll put this in the center of my flower, and now I can tie my bow with my twine. So this is just a simple bow. Tie the knot first and do a loop, tie around, feed it through, and then go ahead and grab the other loop from the center. And my piece is a little bit short, so I have to readjust a little bit before I pull this tight. But once I readjust, I can go ahead and pull that tight. And then I like to fluff and readjust my little loops by pulling the ends. And then I can just snip off the ends with my scissors. And here's my finished card. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial on finger painting and your very special look at the Kling's newspaper Eiffel Tower. Be sure to visit us at www.heroarts.com for more inspiration and ideas, and also information on the 2012 catalog preview parties in your area. Thanks for watching!